This is really good. I love this. Shh! Quiet, please.
Hello class. Welcome to this week's filmmaking lesson. I might not be here at Loyalist College. I will be at Walt Disney World Resort to stay at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Alright. So first, we will be doing home video releases. On today, we will be doing 2012-2009 film. Here is the plot in this film. In 2009, American geologist Adrian Helmsley visits astrophysicist Satnam Saruni in India and learns that an exotic new type of neutrinos from a huge solar flare are heating Earth's core. In Washington, D.C., Helmsley presents his information to White House Chief of Staff Carl Anheuser, who brings him to meet U.S. President Thomas Wilson. In 2010, Wilson and other world leaders begin a secret project to ensure humanity's survival. China and the G8 nations begin building 9 arks, each capable of carrying 100,000 people, in the Himalayas near Choming, Tibet. Nima, a Buddhist monk, is evacuated and his brother Tenzin joins the Ark project. Funding is raised by secretly selling tickets at €1 billion per person. By 2011, articles of value are moved to the Arks with the help of art expert and first daughter Laura Wilson. In 2012, struggling Manhattan Beach, California-based science fiction writer Jackson Curtis is a chauffeur for Russian billionaire Yuri Karpov. Jackson's former wife Kate and their children Noah and Lily live with Kate's boyfriend, plastic surgeon and amateur pilot Gordon Silberman. Jackson takes Noah and Lily camping in Yellowstone National Park. When they enter an area fenced off by the United States Army, they are caught and brought to Adrian, who has read Jackson's books. After being released, they meet conspiracy theorist Charlie Frost, who hosts a radio show from the park. That night, after the military evacuates Yellowstone, Jackson watches Charlie's video of Charles Hapgood's theory that polar shifts in the Mesoamerican long count calendar predict a 2012 phenomenon and the end of the world. Charlie reveals that anyone attempting to inform the public was or will be killed. After Jackson and his children return home, earthquakes begin in California. Jackson rents a private plane and rescues his family as the Earth crust displacement begins, causing a 10.9 magnitude earthquake. Jackson and his family escape Los Angeles as much of the city collapses into the Pacific Ocean. The group flies to Yellowstone to retrieve a map from Charlie with the Ark's location. As they leave, the Yellowstone caldera erupts. Charlie is killed while covering the eruption. The group lands in Las Vegas to find a larger plane and meet Yuri, his twin sons Alec and Oleg, his girlfriend Tamara and their pilot Sasha. Sasha and Gordon fly them out in an Antonov 500 as the Yellowstone ash cloud envelops Las Vegas. Adrian, Carl, and Laura fly to the Arks on Air Force One. Wilson remains in Washington, D.C., to address the nation while millions of people die in earthquakes and mega tsunamis worldwide, including himself. With the presidential line of succession broken, Carl assumes the position of acting commander-in-chief. As Jackson's group reaches China, their plane runs out of fuel. Sasha continues flying the plane as the others escape in a Bentley Continental flying spur stored in the cargo hold. Sasha is killed when the plane slides off a cliff. The others are spotted by Chinese Air Force helicopters. Yuri and his sons, who have tickets, are taken to the Arks, leaving Tamara, who Yuri did not buy a ticket for as he suspected she was having an affair with Sasha, Gordon and the Curtis family. The remaining group is picked up by Nima and brought to the Arks with his grandparents. With Tenzin's help, they stow away on Ark 4, where the U.S. contingent is located. As a mega tsunami breaches the Himalayas and approaches the site, an impact driver lodges in the Ark door gears, keeping a boarding gate open, which prevents the ship's engines from starting. In the ensuing chaos, Gordon and Tamara are killed. Yuri is killed as well when saving his children. Tenzin is injured, the Ark begins filling with water and is set adrift. Jackson and Noah dislodge the tool and the crew regains control of the Ark before it strikes Mount Everest. Jackson is reunited with his family and reconciles with Kate. 27 days later, the waters are receding. The Arks approach the Cape of Good Hope, where the Drakensberg Mountains have now become the highest mountain range on Earth, due to the continent of Africa, plus a few areas of Europe and Asia, having risen above the waters. Adrian and Laura begin a relationship, while Jackson and Kate rekindle their romance. Alternate ending. An alternate ending appears in the film's DVD release. After Captain Michaels, the Ark 4 captain, announces that they are heading for the Cape of Good Hope, Adrian learns by phone that his father, Harry, and Harry's friend Tony survived a mega tsunami which capsized their cruise ship, the Genesis. Adrian and Laura strike up a friendship with the Curtises. Kate thanks Laura for taking care of Lily. Laura tells Jackson that she enjoyed his book Farewell Atlantis, and Jackson and Adrian have a conversation reflecting the events of the worldwide crisis. Jackson returns Noah's cell phone, which he recovered during the Ark 4 flood. The Ark finds the shipwrecked Genesis and her survivors on a beach. Alright. On tomorrow, we will be doing Casper 1995 film. Here is the plot in this film. In friendship, Maine following the death of her father, neurotic and spoiled heiress Kerrigan, Kathy Moriarty, Crittenden discovers she has only been left Whipstaff Manor in his will while his vast wealth has gone to several charities. Kerrigan and her assistant, Dibs, Eric Idle, find a map within the will's papers that tell of an alleged treasure hidden inside the manor, but find the property haunted by a ghost named Casper, voiced by Malachi Pearson, and his poltergeist uncles the Ghostly Trio, voices by Jonah Pote, Joe Alaskey and Brad Garrett. They unsuccessfully attempt to force the ghosts out by way of paranormal experts and a demolitions team. A lonely Casper watches a news report about paranormal therapist James Harvey, Bill Pullman, and is instantly smitten with his teenage daughter, Kat, Christina Ricci, prompting Casper to inspire Kerrigan in summoning Dr. Harvey to Whipstaff. Kat dislikes Harvey's reputation and obsession with contacting the ghost of his late wife, Amelia. The Harveys move into Whipstaff, but Casper's attempt to befriend them fails when his uncles try to torment and scare them away, which eventually fails. Casper gains the Harveys' trust when he serves them breakfast, and follows Kat to school, where she becomes popular when her class learns she is living in Whipstaff, and agrees to host their Halloween party. Her envious classmate Amber plots with her boyfriend, Vic, to humiliate Kat during the party. Harvey attempts therapy sessions with the Ghostly Trio, who not only try to avoid them, but also reveal they know Amelia. In exchange for convincing Kerrigan to leave them alone, they promise to go through the red tape involved to get Harvey a meeting with his wife. Kat learns Casper has no memory of his life, and restores his old playroom to remind him. Casper recognizes an old wooden sled his father bought him, and remembers playing outside until he caught a severe cold and died of pneumonia, becoming a ghost to keep his father company. A newspaper article reveals that Casper's father was declared legally insane after he built a machine, the Lazarus, which he claimed could bring the dead back to life. Casper and Kat venture to the basement and find the Lazarus. Kerrigan and Dibs sneak inside, steal the formula that powers the Lazarus, and plot to use the machine, believing it could grant them immortality. However, they attempt to kill each other to test the theory and retrieve the treasure they think is in the basement's locked vault. Kerrigan falls off a cliff to her death and rises as a ghost. Dr. Harvey becomes despondent after the trio pull a prank on him, prompting them to take him out on the town. They plan on killing him to make themselves a quartet but have a change of heart after a drunken Harvey declares he will tell Kerrigan off so they can stay in their home. However, Harvey accidentally falls to his death down a manhole. In the laboratory, Kerrigan confronts Casper and Kat, stealing what she believes to be the treasure from the vault and launching Dibs out a window when he tries to double-cross her. Casper and Kat trick Kerrigan into saying that she has no unfinished business on Earth, causing her to eject herself into the afterlife. The treasure is revealed to be Casper's prized baseball, signed by Duke Snyder. The so-called map was part of a game Casper played with his father, thus Kerrigan would have been furious at having gone through all that trouble for nothing. Dr. Harvey, now a ghost, returns with Casper's uncles, and Kat's despair over this prompts Casper to sacrifice his one chance to return to life, restoring her father instead. The Halloween party kicks off upstairs. Amber and Vic's prank is thwarted by the Ghostly Trio, and they flee in terror. A boy dances with Kat, and it's revealed to be Casper, who had his wish granted by Amelia, now a spirit. Amelia meets with Harvey and tells him that she was so content with her family while alive that she has no unfinished business, and encourages him to move on, explaining that the ghostly trio kept their promise to find her for Harvey. Amelia departs as the clock chimes 10, promising Harvey that they and Kat will be together again one day, and, after kissing Kat, Casper transforms back into a ghost, scaring off the guests. Kat is impressed with the party, which Harvey says is not over, cueing the ghostly trio to play their nephew's theme for them to dance to the haunted house. Alright. On Wednesday, we will be doing the Climb 2019 film. Here is the plot in this film. The film is divided into 7 chapters. 1. I'm sorry. Best friends Mike and Kyle are biking together when Mike breaks the news to Kyle that he's currently sleeping with his fiancée. In the ensuing argument, Mike has a moment of road rage with the motorist that culminates into Mike getting assaulted after chasing the motorist down the road. At the hospital, where Mike is recovering from minor head wounds, Kyle's fiancée, Ava, visits Mike and is confronted by Kyle over her affair. After she tells him that she still loves him, he then asks if she still wants to get married. 2. Let go. Ava goes on to marry Mike instead, but she unexpectedly dies shortly after. A visibly distraught Mike causes a scene at her funeral, which is diffused by Kyle, who came to pay his respects. Mike admits to Kyle that what he did was wrong and that he's a terrible friend. Though Kyle is still angry at Mike, he still consoles him over his loss. 3. Thanks. Sometime later, Kyle, now in better physical shape, is working as a commercial jingle writer and is dating his former high school girlfriend, Marissa, with whom he is celebrating Thanksgiving with his family. Though his overprotective, overbearing mother is disapproving of the relationship, she is nonetheless happy for him when he announces his engagement with her. She then reveals to Kyle that she invited Mike to celebrate Christmas with them, noting his having no family of his own to celebrate with. On Christmas night, a now overweight, alcoholic Mike arrives at Kyle's family's home. Finding his way into the garage, he comes across some old pictures of himself and his old helmet from when he played football in high school. Kyle's mother confronts Mike and tells him that he needs to make amends with Kyle for his selfish actions and stop feeling sorry for himself over how he hurt him. Mike then stumbles into the living room where he passes out drunk. 4. It's broken. Seeing Mike's worsened state, Kyle invites him to join him and Marissa on their vacation to a ski resort over New Year's. After breaking his arm on a difficult slope, Mike is given permission by Kyle to stay with them for the night, the two of them getting drunk together and catching up on their pasts. A frustrated Marissa tells Kyle that Mike is a negative influence on his life and that he needs to cut him out from it. When Marissa goes to bed early, Kyle joins her in the hopes of having sex, but he quickly passes out before she returns from the bathroom. She then goes down to confront Mike about his behavior, and he attempts to kiss her. Though disgusted, she physically pressures him into following through with his advances, convinced that it will finally convince Kyle to break off their friendship for good. 5. Stop it. Mike and Marissa's brother Ronnie plan a surprise ice fishing bachelor party for Kyle before his impending wedding with Marissa. When Kyle momentarily steps away from the party, Mike approaches him and claims that he slept with Marissa. Kyle, angered once again, surprises Mike by saying that he no longer cares and simply wants to spend his life with someone who cares for him. Mike responds that Marissa doesn't actually care for Kyle as he is and wants to turn him into something she wants him to be, suggesting that he leaves her. At some point, Kyle breaks through a thin patch of ice in the frozen lake, though Mike manages to pull him out. 6. Grow up. Kyle has since cut all ties with Mike, who is lonelier than ever. On the day of Kyle and Marissa's wedding, Mike crashes the ceremony and objects to their union, instigating a small brawl in the church between him and members of both Kyle and Marissa's families. During the confrontation, Marissa loudly declares that she's pregnant and that she's adamant about getting married. Upon learning this, the priest refuses to wed them over concerns that their child is pressuring them into a potentially doomed marriage and advises them to wait until after the child is born. 7. Fine. About a year later, Mike is now working at a bicycle shop, cafe, where now married Kyle and Marissa visit him with their newly born son Otis, the former of whom still misses Mike. Several years later, Kyle and Marissa decide to divorce, presumably over Kyle's seeming refusal to remove Mike from his life. Kyle lives close to Marissa to stay in touch with their son and maintains his friendship with Mike, whom Otis affectionately refers to as his uncle. The three go on a bike ride together and Mike encourages Otis to remove his training wheels. He initially falls, but eventually rides, to Mike and Kyle's encouragement. Alright. On Thursday, we will be doing Glass 2019 film. Here is the plot in this film. David Dunn, a superhuman who survived the East Rail 177 train wreck 19 years earlier, now operates as a disguised vigilante dubbed the Overseer alongside his son Joseph. 3 weeks after the Horn incident, the Dunns track down Kevin Wendell Crumb, the Horde, at an abandoned factory where he holds 4 cheerleaders hostage. David engages Kevin in a brief battle until armed forces led by Dr. L.A. Staple intervene and imprison them at the Ravenhill Memorial Mental Institute. Also being kept there is David's destined foe and global terrorist Elijah Price, aka Mr. Glass, who is kept under sedation and is considered completely harmless. David and Kevin are placed in separate rooms that contain unique security measures based on their weaknesses of water and light flashes respectively. Staple explains that she believes they suffer from delusions of grandeur and do not have superpowers. Elijah's mother Mrs. Price, Joseph Dunn, and Casey Cook, a victim who survived Kevin, the Horde's captivity, try and fail to convince Staple superhumans are real. As part of her final evaluation, Staple brings the 3 men to a room where she challenges them with explanations of why their seemingly superhuman abilities are not extraordinary. Kevin and David become confused and distraught while Elijah remains catatonic. That night, Elijah escapes his cell to conduct a search on Kevin before visiting him and telling him he feigned his sedated state and plans to escape the institute but requires one of Kevin's personalities, the Beast, to help him. Staple discovers Elijah's escape plan and proceeds to do a prefrontal lobotomy to silence him. Upon returning to his cell, Elijah reveals he sabotaged the surgical laser and kills his caretaker Daryl before freeing Kevin. Elijah then manipulates David into fighting the Beast by revealing his plan to destroy a chemical lab inside a new skyscraper, the Osaka Tower in Philadelphia, that would kill thousands. David breaks free from his cell and pursues the Beast. Mrs. Price, Joseph, and Casey arrive just as the trio escapes. David and the Beast fight for a while before Elijah reveals to the Beast David's weakness for water. After that, Joseph reveals that Kevin's father died in the train wreck caused by Elijah Price 19 years earlier. Despite thanking him for his creation, the Beast mortally wounds Elijah out of distrust for Kevin, and throws David into a water storage tank that drenches the area when he gets out. Casey manages to bring Kevin's dormant original personality out, inadvertently allowing the police to fatally shoot him. Staple's men drown David in a flooded pothole while Staple reveals that she is part of a clandestine organization that has been suppressing the existence of superhumans for millennia to keep people from knowing about them and killing those with superhuman abilities as they see them as a threat to the balance of the world order. In the aftermath, Staple deletes the footage from the institution, only to realize Elijah had secretly live-streamed the events to a private network. As she screams in frustration, Mrs. Price, Joseph, and Casey all receive a copy of the footage and upload it to the public, exposing the existence of superhumans to the world. Alright. On Friday, we will be doing Dreamland 2019 film. Here is the plot in this film. Here is the premise in this film. A young farm boy helps a seductive fugitive hiding in his small town during the Great Depression. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing the Kid Detective 2020 film. Here is the plot in this film. A once celebrated kid detective, now 31, continues to solve the same trivial mysteries between hangovers and bouts of self-pity. But one day, a naive client brings him his first ever adult case, to find out who brutally murdered her boyfriend. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Slapshot 1977 film. Here is the plot in this film. In the fictional small town of Charlestown, the local mill is about to lay off 10,000 workers, indirectly threatening the existence of the town's minor league hockey team, the Charlestown Chiefs, who are also struggling with a losing season and an increasingly hostile crowd. After discovering that the team is to be folded, player-coach Reggie Dunlop lets the Hanson brothers, the club's recent acquisitions, loose on their opponents. The brothers' actively violent and thuggish style of play excites the fans. Dunlop retools the team, using violence to draw big crowds. The team's new style produces unintended consequences that affect not only Dunlop, but the Chiefs' star player, Ned Braden, along with the rest of the team. Braden refuses to take part in the violent antics, as Dunlop attempts to exploit Braden's marital troubles in his efforts to get him to take part in the team's brawling, but to no avail. Several games degenerate into bench-clearing brawls, including one that takes place before the opening face-off, and another that brings the local police into the locker room to arrest the Hanson brothers. Nonetheless, the Chiefs rise up the ranks to become contenders for the championship, and a rumor spreads that the team's success could possibly lead them to be sold to a buyer in Florida. Eventually Dunlop meets team owner Anita McCambridge, and discovers his efforts to increase the team's popularity and value through violence have been for naught, as McCambridge's better option is to fold the team as a tax write-off. By the time Dunlop decides to abandon the new strategy of violence over skill, the Chiefs' main rivals in Syracuse have already upped the ante by stocking their team full of goons in preparation for the league's championship game. After being crushed during the first period, the disgusted general manager tells them that various National Hockey League scouts accepted his invitation to the game, as he was hoping that the Chiefs' habitual escapades would get the players signed. Upon hearing this news, Dunlop decides to have his team revert to their previous violent approach, much to the joy of the spectators. When Braden witnesses his wife cheering for the Chiefs, he adopts a similarly radical but still non-violent way of participation by performing a live striptease on the rink amidst rousing cheers. When the Syracuse team's captain protests against this daredevil demonstration and hits the referee for dismissing him, Syracuse is disqualified, granting the Chiefs the championship. After their win, and with the Chiefs now effectively folded and finished, Dunlop accepts the offer to be the player-coach to the Minnesota Nighthawks, bringing his teammates with him. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Toys of Terror 2020 film. Here is the plot in this film. Unfortunately, there was no plot. It was made by Warner Brothers Pictures. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Wonder 2020 film. Here is the plot in this film. Again, there was no plot. It was made by Paramount Pictures. Alright. That's all the home video releases we got. So second, we will be doing TV series over home video releases. On today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we will be doing Chakato Anime Kimono Friends 3 episode 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. You did a great job for making Kimono Friends 3. So keep on working. Alright. That's all the TV series over home video releases we got. So third, we will be doing Monkey Pictures and Roman Cow Productions and Donkey Teeth Company shorts. You class did Puss Gets the Boot and the Midnight Snack by Tom and Jerry shorts. Great job class. This short will continue with Tom and Jerry shorts. It's called The Night Before Christmas 1941 80th Anniversary Edition. It's Christmas Eve and nothing is stirring. But Jerry emerges from his hole avoiding a Christmas-themed mousetrap placed by his hole. Jerry nears the Christmas presents, jumping merrily around the tree, licking candy canes and jumping onto a plush toy lion that squeaks. Jerry continues jumping on the soft toy, but bounces too hard and lands on Tom, who he inadvertently wakes up. Tom snarls and just before he can eat Jerry, the quick-thinking mouse grabs a nearby "Do Not Open Till Christmas" sticker and slaps it on Tom's mouth. Jerry is chased among the myriad of toys, briefly stopping to fire Trick Field Gun's corkstopper at Tom, and hides inside a Christmas fairy light, causing him to glow. Not fooled, Tom grabs Jerry and is promptly electrocuted. Jerry hides among some toy soldiers, but Tom spots him and the mouse runs off, saluting the cat like a real soldier would. Tom chases Jerry but is stopped by the barrier on a miniature level crossing. A toy train passes by, with many carriages. Jerry sits on top of the caboose, waving cheekily at Tom and pulling faces. As the train enters a model of a tunnel and Jerry hits his head, knocking him onto the track. He runs through the tunnel, pursued by Tom, who knocks the tunnel over. Jerry hides inside a boxing glove and boxes the puzzled cat in the face before running off behind the Christmas tree. Tom, now arming himself with a boxing glove of his own, follows him and spots him jumping into a jack-in-the-box. Opening up the box, Tom is punched by the boxing glove stuck on Jack's head and is knocked out. Jerry jumps out and holds it up in victory like a boxing referee. Tom chases Jerry once again, but Jerry holds out a piece of mistletoe in front of him and persuades an embarrassed Tom to kiss him. Tom blushes and while his back is turned, Jerry kicks him in the rear. The mouse darts through the letterbox slot into the outdoors. As Tom opens the lid of the letterbox to see where Jerry has gone, Jerry hurls a snowball at his face. Tom angrily barricades the slot to prevent Jerry from getting back into the house. While Jerry trudges up and down in the heavy snow in a vain attempt to keep warm, Tom fluffs up his cushion and prepares to sleep. He is unable to settle himself. Heavenly choirs sing carols breaking their silence, pricking Tom's conscience with a message of Christmas peace and good fault will. He first props open the slot to allow Jerry back in and when the mouse does not reappear, ventures anxiously outside to find a hypothermic Jerry, frozen into a solid popsicle. Fearing for Jerry's life, he brings the frozen mouse indoors and warms him up by the fire, saving his life. Slowly, Jerry regains consciousness but is wary of the cat. Tom hands Jerry a candy cane, his Christmas present. A delighted Jerry licks his cane, but then quickly reacts to prevent Tom drinking from his bowl of milk. He dips his cane into the bowl and a loud snap is heard. Jerry uses the cane to fish a mousetrap that he had earlier planted in the bowl. Tom appreciates Jerry's warning and the mouse runs back to his hole. He uses his candy cane to hook the cheese off the mousetrap. Instead of snapping like a usual mousetrap does, however, the spring slowly comes down, ringing the tune of Jingle Bells as Jerry smiles in admiration to the musical mousetrap. Alright. That's all the shorts we got. So forth, we will be doing Samsung Galaxy S21. The story continues when Mai goes on to the trip to Walt Disney World to Epcot. She takes Sana Futaba and Daikano and Yu Itamaki and Tsukasatomi and Nimue Iragi with her. When they arrived at Orlando International Airport, they find the Disney Magical Express that was sitting right next to the parking lot. They arrived at Epcot and they go to any attractions, including Festival of the Arts Walk. They go to Space 220, Beauty and the Beast sing along with 30th Anniversary Edition to 1991 film, Canada Far and Wide Circle Vision and Awesome Planet. As they headed back to Canada, the magical girls find themselves into their hotel to stay at Super Mario Bros. Ontario, Canada. They found comfort in to stay in. As Mai goes to sleep, she had an idea to go to Walt Disney World again to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Alright. That's all I got for today. Let's do some work now.
Alright, let's do some work now. Hello, guys. Hi. 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 Oh gosh, you're all here. Anyway, let's go to Epcot and we'll have to stay at the hotel called Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, alright? Okay, I'm right with you, Makeda. Alright, let's go everybody. Let's get to the airport and we'll get to Epcot Festival of the Arts and we'll have to just go to this hotel called Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Okay, good.